I want to talk to you about your new role in the Robert Alaniz film, Honest to God. First of all, you know what? I guess I'll open the floor up to you first of all. Tell me what made you want to come back and work with Robert. I know you'd worked with him in the past. He's kind of our little local hero here in the south suburbs of Chicago. Tell me what made you want to come back and work with him, Larry.
Well, I mean, I always have a lot of fun working with Robert, and well, we've done three films together, and every time he tells me something about the character and stuff, I get to give my own input. And he's very open to listening to any ideas I have, and he actually asks me. So I feel like each character I've played for him, I've half collaborated on creating the character. More so than just auditioning, for a character and bringing in your take. And even if they go great, we love your take, we'll go with it. But he, asks me what I think and if I've got any ideas and what kind of voice I might want to use if it's kind of a crazy foreign character like we did in Honest to God. And,
Yeah.
it's always, it's a great collaboration between he and I every time we do something.
Well, you have to know we've had two premieres of the movie here in the south suburbs, and I went to the second premiere. And as soon as your character came on stage, the theater went nuts for you. You have that reaction. Do you have people kind of reacting to that in person as well?
Well, I mean, in person, my life is all about the soup Nazi. It just always has. It's been since, probably the show went into syndication and people started seeing it much more often. I can't shake it and I don't mind at all. But that's what everybody knows. Once in a while, somebody will remember me from like Austin Powers or Scrubs or Arrested Development, but it's 99% people just want me to say no soup for you. So it's a real wonderful treat to get to do something else. And this character, Dr. Haja, in reality, what's really funny about it is Robert and I were talking about his voice. And he was saying, I want, every time he says, it's early,
I
to be like
love that.
fingernails on a chalkboard,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I said, well, it's interesting because, the real Al Yeganay, who Soup Nazi was based on, I didn't like imitate his voice or anything. I was actually imitating Omar Sharif. But once I got to know Al a little bit, the difference between he and I is he has a really high-pitched voice and a very slight lisp. And I said, this might be really bizarre just between you and me, Robert, but I could just imitate Al Yeganay.
And he said,
And
"Go
so in
with
a
it."
way that's
Yeah.
I've never done that before, but I have spoken to him in person. I've seen tons of like YouTube things with him in it, and I know the sound of his voice really well. So this is the first time I actually imitated him.
I'm not going to ruin anything for folks who haven't seen it. Your phrase, "It's early," has to. It's a comedic. It's the most comedic point in the film, I think, and it really is the catchphrase for this entire movie. This entire movie is built around Dr. Hajai, your character, and I think that catchphrase is really, really powerful, especially in this film.
Well, thank you. I mean, he does set everything in motion.
Right.
Even though it's just one scene. And again, I won't be a spoiler either, but what he does, there was a real guy in Arizona about 5 years ago, and he did the same thing, only there was nothing comedic about it. It was
Right.
kind of, but I remember that story really well. And when Robert brought this up to me, I said, oh my God, it's like playing out something that really happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I had a little insight into what I was going to do. And then, of course, there's Robert's writing, which is always funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's just a really good writer.
I think your character, in some way, shape, or form, we can all relate to the its early phase. Whether not just for us personally, but we know of someone who's gone through a similar situation. I mean, we're all human. To go through a situation like that and be told it's early. Going back to what I said before, Larry, I think that your take on that phrase makes it a little bit comedic, and then once we go through the whole film, we can almost look back on that and kind of breathe a sigh of release and have a good laugh about it's early.
Burke had a lot to play there, and I had never worked with him before, but I was really impressed by how he just kind of sat in and took it in. And because there are sometimes you play a character and you can't possibly know from experience what the character's feeling like. Sometimes you're lucky and you go, oh, that's something that's happened to me, so I know. But he had to really, sit into something that not many people ever hear. I just was really impressed by the way he did it. And so, again, working with someone who gives you something back, then the playing out of the scene becomes even easier and flows better because you're experiencing something like new. It's not what you imagined, it's just happening. Mainly because that was my sort of initial idea, when I first decided to try to be an actor in my, I was just around 21, and I'd never done it before, so I knew nothing about acting except for what I saw on TV and film, and didn't see much theater up till that point, but then that's how I trained. And I guess I realized what people wanted to cast me as in the college theater department, and they were all kind of weird character actors. So I realized right off the bat that it wasn't going to be sort of my own personality. And so I started just experimenting with every different kind of character I could find, and I would try to do scenes that were always completely different than the last one. So I actually was going for that. Now, in a professional career, it could be damaging. Guys that do like one shtick over and over get a lot of work.
Yeah.
There are certain character actors that you could flip around the channels one night and you might see them in one or two different things playing that same character.
Right.
Doing it on Friends, doing it on Seinfeld, doing it on Frasier,
Yeah.
But when every time you do something, you try to do something so completely different voice, different rhythms, different walk, different movements. In one way, it's really rewarding, but another way, you don't get cast as much because casting people call you in and they go like, what? I wanted the soup Nazi,
Right, exactly.
And
or they think you have that accent or that persona, sure.
So thank you for recognizing that, because I really worked on that through the years, how to never speak in the same tones. And so, yeah.
It's a true testament to you, and I really mean that, because when I saw your performance the first time, I've seen the movie twice now, when I saw it the first time, I thought, wow. And then the second time, I really, studied you a little bit more, because obviously, I mean, you're the biggest name in the film. It's so cool how you created this iconic character in 95, I believe it was.
Yeah.
And almost 25 years later now, it's still this iconic character that you get remembered for. Yet when someone sees you, Larry, like in this movie, they're like, wait a minute, that's Larry Thomas? Oh, it's kind of cool if someone stops and thinks, oh, that's Larry Thomas. Oh, just showing like, wow, the depth that you go into for each character.
Like, say I'm doing an autograph convention and someone comes up to my table and they're looking at the pictures and they see the picture from Austin Powers and they'll go, oh my God, that was you as the blackjack dealer? And
yeah.
I look at them and I say, well, I looked exactly the same.
Right.
I had the mustache, whatever. And they said, but your voice was so different. And it's like, wow, yeah, I guess he had his own voice, and there was no foreign dialect or anything. But it amazes me that it works like it does, because it's all me, Every
Sure.
my one of my longtime acting teachers, Milton Katselas, used to say, in a way, you're stuck with the character, and the character is stuck with you.
Right. That's neat.
So you're going to cross those lines, where there's got to be some of you in there, or else it won't be complete. But at the same time, if you're trying to play a real different character, you're going to maybe have a different voice and things like that. I remember taking a workshop years and years ago with the great Sherry North, and she said to me, "You're a character actor, so when you go into professional auditions, go in character." So I know when I went into the Seinfeld callback and I saw Jerry in the room, because he was the only face I recognized, I just went like, because I didn't want to talk out of
Right.
character. So it was a while before anybody in that room heard the way I really sound. He made me wait, brought me back in, and oddly enough, thank God I didn't have to play it this way, but he had this idea that my character shouldn't be so mean, I could be a little nicer. And so there must have been some different levels that I tried. It was very unsuccessful, and he didn't laugh at all. So that got left in the dust when they cast me. His first thing when he came over to me was, just do it. He said, "Forget about the direction I gave you, man. Just do what you did when you came in, you know."
That's
So
neat.
what you see is kind of what I originally came in with, and thank goodness they let me do that, because anything else didn't make any sense to me. But yeah, it's fascinating to me that with some simple changes of tone of voice and stuff, people don't recognize that you're the same person.
It's really cool. Again, I think that's such a testament to you, Larry, and I love your character. I love the movie. I love its message. What's next for you? What's next on Larry Thomas's docket?
As far as like any upcoming projects, there's one or two scripts I've read, but not everybody that sends you a script to read does their project. Robert did this film against the pandemic,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
and a lot of guys that send me script, good character, they have big ideas, and they just, kind of flake off.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Robert does his projects,
Yeah.
and I'm always very impressed by that too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're such a gem in this film. You're such a pleasure to
Thank
talk to.
you.
You're an amazing actor, and I can't thank you enough for your time, Larry.
Well, thank you, Andrea. I love talking to you too, and I really appreciate that. And I'm just so pleased to hear that it worked.